This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Up first, Kyle Bauer visits with Dr. Derrell Peel to discuss the complexity of beef demand.
I just got to listen to one of your presentations, or a presentation of you and one of your grad students. There was a few things that were startling to me. First of all, it isn't really about beef demand. It's about demand for hundreds of cuts of beef.
I think that's right. You know, we've always tried to sort of simplify beef demand. We talk about it as though it's one thing, but beef is hundreds, really thousands of different products in terms of final consumption. And so demand becomes much more complicated because it's not just about beef, pork, and poultry. It's about this beef product versus that beef product. And so you really have to kind of get inside the carcass to really understand those demand issues.
Well, and the trade-off of, like you mentioned, of products against themselves because of price change.
That's right. All those price relationships are extremely important. So, you know, a consumer walks into the store, they may be interested in a particular steak, but they're going to look at the other steaks, see how they're priced. They might look at a, pork product or a chicken product as well. But most of the time, it's a trade-off between those steaks. And so, there's a lot of intricacies in the marketplace, particularly when you start talking about some products go to one segment, so they may go to retail. Other products tend to be primarily used in food service, and yet there's a very important price relationship between those products, at least at the wholesale level, that those can change and have impacts each on the other, and they don't know each other at all, and don't know why that impact is happening to them in many cases.
It was startling to me. I have heard for years about certain cuts of beef go to foreign countries for exports from the U.S., but really, even within our own country, we have segmentation. We ship different parts of the beef to different areas of the country because the demand is best in that, and it varies quite a bit.
It does vary tremendously. And so, you think about a tri-tip product, very popular in the Pacific Northwest, West Coast kind of a market. Most of the rest of the country doesn't know it, or at least doesn't know it by that name in many cases. Now it's spreading and it's getting a little more popular. Another great example is brisket. In the Southern Plains, I live in Oklahoma, you can go to any grocery store and get a Packer trim whole brisket. You want to smoke a brisket? That's a very popular thing. I grew up in Montana. When I go visit my family up there, if I want to do a brisket for them, I go to the grocery store. It's not on the case. It's not something they routinely carry. I have to go to the meat manager and have him special order me a brisket if I want to cook one of those.
So as I sat and listened to that, we all know how important transportation is for agriculture in general, but transportation and distribution in beef is paramount and is maybe an unsung hero.
Oh, absolutely. Again, we're mixing and matching this tremendously diverse set of products that come out of this beef industry, all the things we do, and you think about all of the places that those products individually need to go in various domestic markets, as we've talked about, or into export markets or whatever. The logistics of this industry are just enormous, and we're talking about a fresh product most of the time. So, we don't have all time to do it. There's a tremendous amount of challenge in making that work and making it work on a regular basis.
You brought up the issue of fresh, and one last thing. As I looked, though, at the seasonality of different products, it was almost impossible to offer. For instance, at holiday time, the prime rib demand's very, very high. Well, you can only store those so long.
That's right. You got two problems there. One is you got a tremendous amount of demand in a very focused period of time. So Christmas and New Year's prime rib demand. You got to order those a month in advance, but you can't make enough of them for that very specific time period. So, and yet on the fresh side, you've got limited amount of time to store it. So a lot of challenges. Some new technology coming into place with using things like what's called deep chill, which is not quite frozen, but almost frozen, that allows for extended storage. So that a retailer can go out and start procuring that product as early as August and have it in storage when the time comes. So a lot of challenges in the marketplace to sort of balance seasonal supply and demand and make it all work out.
We're visiting with Dr. Derrell Peel of Oklahoma State University. This is Kyle Bauer reporting from San Antonio.
Thanks, Kyle. After the break, it's this week's Kansas soybean update. Stay tuned.